had no formal JV agreement, just a chat. It was nice. I trusted her implicitly. It was just a handshake. Then she's ghosted me. I'm in dire trouble here.
There's always going to be issues. You just want someone that's going to be level-headed and can work through and doesn't freak out when there's a problem, because there's always going to be a problem.
We're getting $900 a week for these 2 little properties.
You're about to watch a section of our Find, Fund, Develop event that we did back in March. We covered the fundamentals on how to find a deal, how to fund a deal, and how to actually develop a deal. We filmed this in front of a live audience of over 350 people. Hope you enjoy it.
Let's bring up Trudy.
Trudy.
One of our JV partners.
Round of applause. So Trudy, like I said, we met in one of these communities, and she met my wife, and then we came over and said g'day, and then we're like, okay. She was like, look, if you've got any projects coming up, then would love to, hear about them. We're both based on the Gold Coast, and my wife and Trudy hit it off talking about some affordable housing and bits and pieces that they wanted to do, and Trudy's got a big heart for a lot of that side of stuff, and then, pitched a couple of projects that didn't quite work, and then we found this one, and then the journey started. So I'll let Trudy tell her side of the story, and then we'll jump back up.
Thanks, Carson. Can I have the trigger first? Yeah, and just press it anyway. Yeah. Thanks, gentlemen. Okay, time. Thank you. 2015, I'm a nurse. I have an idea, but in actual fact, I have no idea. So this is a property my husband Brett and I owned, and we actually owned this. So anyone who's familiar with Arundel, we own Napa Road, Woodlands Way, so we own 2 blocks at 13,000 square metres. Eric, when you were talking before about PTSD, let's try this one, because this one we have sold, and imagine if we had it today, but that's okay. We're moving right along. So it was superfluous to our needs, so we decided, let's sell. So, but I knew, not that I had any idea about developing, but I did know that I couldn't just sell it as 2 resi blocks, as we bought them as. So we bought one in 2003, one in 2005. So we had them for 10 years. So I knew, I had an idea it'd be good to build an aged care facility, my background being nursing. So I had an acquaintance, and I rang her, and I said, I've got these blocks of land. I think an aged care facility would work well. How do I find an aged care builder? And she said, no worries, come over. She said, I'll come over and have a look at the block. So she came over, looked at the block, and she said to me, yeah, look, that'll work. And she said, let's do it. I said, do what? And she said, let's build it. And I said, but I can't, I have no idea. And she said, well, look, you own the land. I've got the expertise, and she does. All her life was aged care, building aged care facilities, running them. And she said, and you can actually run the facility afterwards. And I went, okay, so, well, what do we do? Like, I have no idea. So she said, well, you need to get a DA. I sort of worked out what a DA was. And then she said to me, you need to get a town planner. You go to pre-lodgement at council and we'll have a chat. She said, I'm all over it. I've done it before, which she had. I said, okay. So we went to council. And funny enough, Carson, when you said about the council guy, he actually said exactly the same thing to me. So maybe we had the same council man. He leaned over to me and said, I suggest you change town planners. I went, oh, okay. So we went back, we did change town planners, and we did get the DA through. So that took some time, and it was a learning curve for me like that. So that was fine, except there was one problem. So I had no formal agreement with this lady, because we had a chat over coffee, and she's a lovely lady, so it was just a handshake. I trusted her implicitly. She was going to execute, which she was, but we had a verbal feasibility. Now, I know you're probably rolling your eyes now going, is this girl for real? And I am. Because when I was doing the slides, I actually was doing the slides up going, can I really say this? Because this is actually embarrassing. Because I had no idea. And so I had no formal JV agreement, just a chat. It was nice. She was all over it all. I had no verbal feasibility. Or I had a verbal feasibility, nothing in writing. And then the main problem was my husband and myself, Brett, we owned the land, but we didn't have a land valuation. I know, now you're all rolling your eyes. So anyway, so we did get the DA through, that was fine. Then we're going on to, we need to get funding from the Commonwealth Government to actually fund the aged care facility. So that's not to build, but that's just to run it, because I was going to run it. So that goes every Commonwealth Government, every August, you put in your funding for the grants for the beds for the following year. It takes some time, probably February the following year. So she said, I'm all over that. I said, what do I do? She said, fill out these forms. We just build a case. Okay, that's fine. So we did that come February. So we've now got the DA. Come February, no beds granted. So here I am. I have a DA. So obviously we had some uplift on the land. I'm waiting for, because we couldn't run this facility without funding from the government once it was up and running. So then she's ghosted me. So I'm in dire trouble here. So this is now February, and we're quite a few years into this relationship. So. But I could have sold the land with the DA, but I knew if I could get the beds, I'd have a lot more uplift. So that was February, so March, April. So then in August that year, I put in another application. And then in the meantime, my 85-year-old uncle in Sydney was ringing me saying, what are you doing, Trudy? And I said, I'm trying to build this aged care facility. And he said, I said, you'll be going there, Bob, eventually. And then he said, I won't go there because I'm homosexual. And I said, yeah, I know you're homosexual. He said, they don't, I was vilified, they won't accept me. And then I went, bingo. And then I thought, that's what we're going to do. We're going to build an LGBTI preferred aged care facility. So, which we did, but unfortunately the communication with my business partner broke down totally, and we then had to have a mediator. It was very uncomfortable. But anyway, so we went along, the mediator said, I'm not building, I'm out, this is what we're doing, I've got the beds, let's sell. She said, great idea. So we actually on-sold it to Arcare. And that's, if any of you know it, here is the block of land now at Arcare on the corner of Woodlands and Napa Road. It is LGBTI preferred, and it's the first one on the eastern seaboard of Australia. So I'm sort of pretty proud of that. And it's the fastest filling aged care. Thank you. And now I'm happy to say that my business partner is talking to me because, she got quite a lot of money out of that. She made 7 figures, so she's all right now.
Hey guys, if property development is your goal, we've got a series that'll walk you through the core principles of property development. It's called Find, Fund, Develop. We've taken 4 of the most valuable lessons from our most recent Find, Fund, Develop event and turned them into a practical step-by-step series. You learn how to find quality development site deals, understand feasibilities, how to actually structure funding and execute your own project successfully. We break down real examples using real processes and practical insights you can actually apply. If you're serious about getting into property development, this honestly is the place to start. Head to www.unemployableproperty.com.au/FFD or check the link in the description. Now let's get back to the show.
So, of course, as you can appreciate, I am gun shy. I am not doing this again. So 3 years later, I'm at a property development or property course in Brisbane, sitting next to a young girl. She says, I've got this property in Western New South Wales. It's cheap. I can't afford it. She said, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to do a it's a 2-bed, 1-bath, improved to 3-bed, 2-bath. Would you be my JV? And I went, oh God, not likely. Like, that's not going to happen. And then I thought about it and I thought, what is the point of me doing everything I've done and my bad experience, even though it did work out okay, if I don't go ahead? So I went back to her and I said, look, I'll do it. However, I need a JV agreement, I need a written feasibility, I need sales, comparable sales. What are we going to do? Have a line. So anyway, that all worked a treat. So this is the little deceased estate actually that we bought in July 21, 185,000, 2-bed, 1-bath. And we were planning to do it up, which we did, revalue the property and then build duplexes out the back. So that was working a treat. And then we've come along, which that all happened, but before we actually were going to build out the back, the house next door came up for sale. So we decided to buy that. So that's 150,000 for the house. So you can imagine what the house is like. And so we were just going to knock that down. But the problem was, we then got on the comfy couch. We're getting $900 a week for these 2 little properties. So we're thinking, and we actually, I'm doing other things with Brett on the side, and so is she now. So, yeah, I got on the comfy couch. I got no excuse. I just, it was just easy to pull in $900 a week. So subsequently, she has, we're moving on. She's now got a young family. She needs some money. So we have sold the little property, and the other bigger property is currently on the market, and hopefully we'll sell that soon. But that's been successful. So really, I'm now back on the horse. I've sort of got, yeah, okay, we can do this, but probably the timeline was a bit out. So really, joint ventures, known to be vague, and I think Carson and Eric and everyone has said it before, you just need a solid feasibility, be confident in the research, good communication skills. If someone, and I've said here about the red flag with no experience, that's not a game changer for me, but I don't want a red flag with no communication, no feeso. So it needs to be, if you've got no experience but you've got a solid feeso, you've got good communication skills and realistic timeframes, I'd be certainly happy to look at it. So 16 Pelican Parade. This is Shannon and Carson. So I'm actually going to leave that go for the minute because I'll get Shannon and Carson to come back up shortly. Just hang on, shortly, and then we'll just go through that. So basically, money from a money partner, for me as a funder, capital preservation, without a doubt, is the only thing that is number 1, 2 and 3 for me. It needs to be a win-win. You need to have plenty of fat in the deal. If you have plenty of fat in the deal, things do go wrong and will go wrong, but you've also got to ask the hard questions. There is no way in my very first JV would I have thought that I'd have a broken communication with this lady. There's no way. But the problem is it does happen, and it can and does happen. So what I suggest is sit down when everything's roses and say, if we do have a breakdown in communication, what are we going to do about it? That would have made it a lot easier. Have a clear vision. Obviously don't have a verbal JV. Have a written JV. And always have an exit strategy. And also, too, the other thing is, some people can die during the project, as crazy as that sounds. And things or you can get very unwell. So you've got to, once again, have a plan on that. There is no template for this. It's really you sit down with your partner and work it out from there. Our last JV deal was just last year, pretty clear. It was a couple who were renovating, had another renovation on the go, just needed a bit of money. Not a lot of money they needed, so they came to me and said, could we borrow some money at 15%? We'll pay just over 9 months. We'll pay monthly, and then each month we'll send you a WhatsApp, so which they have done. And then that's actually going up for auction tomorrow at midday. So you can come and see me tomorrow afternoon. I might have a big smile on my face or not, so we'll see about that, and I'll get the money back. So that's been very, very clean, all good. So we'll just wait and see about tomorrow. So, but they've got 9 months. They've still got 7 months left in that, another 2 months. So we'll see how that goes. So look, my learnings basically is you need to have a JV, a written JV, open and regular communication. There's no excuse now. WhatsApp, text, email, chat over coffee, all the other things you need regular, and also talk even when things are good. Like when things are going well, just ring up and say, yes, we're good. Everything's going well, everything's going to plan. Discuss if a dispute arises, as I said, have end goals. I dropped the ball a bit on my previous one where we didn't have sort of time frames. Build plenty of fat in the deal. And not every deal, and I think as Eric said before, not every deal's going to work. So you need to do your due diligence. So that's you, but also the funder. Be comfortable with the venture. So for me, I've actually had someone in this room here come to me recently asking for funds. It's a great project and I'd like to do it. But I know that if the money, I may not have that money in the time frame they need it. So I've said to them, I like it, I want to do it, but I can't commit just yet. Because if you're looking for a funder, you want them to deliver, and I think as Carson said just before, you don't want to come and say, I need 186,000 by Friday, and then go, oops, sorry, haven't got that. I wouldn't do it, so I need to have fat in the deal myself. So that's super important, to be comfortable both ways. Be fair and reasonable. Look, none of us are here, we're not a not-for-profit organisation, we're all here to make some money. It won't always be smooth sailing, we know that. But if you're with the right partner, you have clear goals and clear strategies, you'll always have success. So on that note, I'm going to invite Carson and Shannon up, and then we're just going to go through 16 Pelican Parade.
I got a question for you already.
Oh, right, okay.
It's good to ask hard questions when you're going into a deal with them.
Yep.
If someone dies in a JV, is that natural causes or the result of a dispute?
Well, we'll let the court sort that one out. Yes, good. Sorry. How do we play this video, please? Thank you. Roll it, thank you.
Welcome home to Pelican Place. Located in Jacobs Well, southeast Queensland, Pelican Place is a limited collection of some of the largest and most affordable pieces of residential land on the Gold Coast. Pelican Place provides just 8 investors with the opportunity to spread their wings and cement their position in the market. With blocks averaging a massive 850 square metres, Pelican Place provides an opportunity to construct the home of your dreams. The boutique development sits just streets from the heart of the small waterside village of Jacobs Well, which offers wonderful amenities and an unmatched community spirit. The neighbouring suburb of Calypso Bay is an exclusive waterfront residential development which includes a publicly accessible marina and Harrigan's Tavern, which is a highly regarded food and entertainment hub, just minutes from your new front door. For the boaties, Jacobs Well provides direct access to the Gold Coast Broadwater and several national parks including South Stradbroke, Moreton and Kangaroo Islands, all of which offer incredible beaches and swimming and fishing spots. Priced at pre-COVID prices, Pelican Place provides a wonderful opportunity to create a special home from where you can instantly enjoy an incredible lifestyle. Contact our sales team today or scan this QR code for more details. Don't miss this limited opportunity to spread your wings in one of the greatest regions of the world.
How's that guy's voice?
So that's my other half. He is in media and marketing, and he said we'll get this rolling. So thanks to Brett over there, he did all that for us. It was great. We have he actually did up a website, pelicanplace.com, so you could always go on there, and that certainly helped our sales. So thanks again. So we bought this, or Carson found this in just before August 22. It was a big block of land, as you could see. We signed a contract, but not settled till December 22. It was basically a subdivision of 1:8. Pretty straightforward. JV agreement was Brett and I. We set up a company. We were to fund the project. We were buying the land. We did all the contributions, and Carson and Shannon did all the work. So it was really all about relationships. It was about excellent communication. We had trust and respect for each other. Shannon used to send me invoices every day. There must have been 186 of them. But the other thing is, what I did do was I paid them straight away, which is something that I learned from the boys. Don't wait. It's there because if you do pay, they will come back straight away. Those diggers and everyone else will come back because they know that we pay. So the facts of the day was a minimum lot size of, I actually said 600, but it was actually 650, but we chose 850. So Carson, do you want to, well, you probably have really briefed on this already, but...
Yeah, so in that area of Jacobs Well, I actually looked at the property next door a couple of years earlier and talked about not having the right team. I actually went to my team at the time and said, over the back, they'd subdivided it, and he's like, and the team at the time said, well, you can't, there's no sewer and water there. So I was like, well, they did it. And he's like, well, he couldn't quite wrap his head around it. So a couple of years later, we've got a new team. This property's come up. We made the offer. And so you can, even though it's only 850 square metre blocks, you can still have effluent systems and water tanks on blocks that small. So typically that's reserved for acreage, but in areas that aren't serviced, it still actually can be done. But the problem was, over the back, they had 700 square metre blocks, and they were having problems with the effluent seeping into the retaining walls and falling over. So we had to make ours a bit bigger to appease council, and that's why we went for the 850s. Community title scheme, I was talking about it earlier. If we're going to do freehold, and we explored that initially, but the freehold option, we're going to lose 1 or 2 blocks. So it was just a no-brainer. That was actually our first community title scheme land subdivision. So we didn't actually know how that was going to impact sales, but once again, the sales were pretty consistent throughout. They didn't fly out the door, but they were, sold within a reasonable time frame. So, yeah. Yeah,
that's right. Then when we got the DA through, we actually had someone come and offer us 2.1 million. So that was in the April, and we had settled in the December when it was DA approved. So we were sitting there with 550,000 equity. And then the boys came to us and said, well, what do you want to do? And let me tell you, I had to sleep on it because I'm thinking I could get 275,000 in my hand in 4 months, or do we go for it? So, of course, we went for it, didn't we? Just because we could. So we, a lot of things did go to plan, but some things didn't. So we had some angry neighbours.
Yeah, Shannon was trying to navigate with a neighbour for a while there, and Shannon for some reason gives me the job of clearing the trees when the neighbours are the most upset and they realise that the place is being developed. So we're knocking down the trees, and it's quite a sandy area, and there's a bit of sand dusting around, and one of our neighbours comes over and let me know what he thought, and told me I had to shut the site down. Anyways, that he continued on to be a bit of grief, to the point where we actually we agreed to clean his solar panels, suck out his water tank, even do a bit of a house clean just to appease him, but it didn't stop. So then in the end, we're like, what do you want to do, Trudy? So we just went, that deal we made you? We're like, it's all gone now. So he just kept ringing council every single day. We're like, mate, you're living in a house that was built 2 years ago, on a piece of dirt that was provided. Someone did the same thing. We're trying to get in and out as quickly as we can. We built that in a number of months. So it's not like we were fluffing around for that long, but Shannon had to deal with him for a bit.
Yeah, Yeah, I won't go on about it. I get emotional talking about how that was. No, it's very painful having someone over their back fence screaming at you, even though you tried to negotiate an outcome. They just weren't being very respectful about it. So it wasn't a lot of fun. We looked after their neighbours. Their neighbours got their water tanks cleaned, and we did a deal with all of them, and because they were really good. But yeah, this certain gentleman, we never went back there again. Blocked his number, and
And we actually just ended up having to spray the site to keep the dust down, just sort of half appease him, and then we just went sorry and just ignored him. So that was handy. And then we've obviously had a retaining wall mishap. That was sort of someone came along and said whoopsie. So we had shocking weather. We had rain. We had wind. But anyway, that happens, of course. And then we had graph tanks put in because we had the water level was too high. That was something that was unexpected, and that was an unexpected 143,000, Shannon, that we had to sort of come up with. But in saying that, we did have the blocks on the FISO. We were selling for 480, and then Carson said, "Well, we'll sell for about 510," and then my husband said, "Bugger it, let's go 550," which we did, and we actually got a big uplift of $500,000 there, which certainly covered for the graph tanks. But did you want to talk about?
So what you're saying is we came in under budget.
Yeah, we came under budget. We're good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the stormwater on the site, we had to bring a lot of fill in to get it falling back to the road, and the closest stormwater system, I can't remember exactly, but it was like 150 metres up the road and was uphill. So we couldn't get the stormwater on site to discharge uphill. And in that area, we had to then capture it, have a sub-driveway tank. It was actually the length of the whole driveway, so it was 100 metres long, 6 metres wide, this graph tank. And that's how we captured the stormwater problem on site within this, and it self-drains.
Yeah, so it did work. And then, that's the length of the graph tank. And then we had a robust marketing plan, thanks to my husband. And then, so that sign there was 5 metres by 2 because you could actually see it, and that sold out nicely. We had everyone.
Can I add to that?
You
so
can.
you would come out to your site visit
Yes.
to have a look, and I'd be very proud to show you the construction that was going on.
Yes.
And Brett would look at the sign and say, "I'm only worried about the advertising," and then jump back in the car.
That's it, exactly. So we were actually a good team. We covered everything. So look, we sold all the blocks. The last block sold, we actually reduced that by 10,000 just to get rid of it. The rubbish bins are out the front of lot 1, so we ended up with 550,000 there. The costs, I'm getting wound up here. So we purchased the property, we had strategy costs, we sold it, and we made 1.431, and that was split between the four of us, so that was 700,000 each. So happy with that, thank you. This is the completed in 2024, and then I don't have the so that was a very successful deal. So we're back on the horse, and we're doing deals. So thank you.
So thank you, Trudy. That was an amazing relationship with Trudy. Those guys were the perfect joint venture parties for us. You know, did everything that they said they were going to do from a lending perspective, and all we look for is, once again, like Trudy said, there's always going to be issues. You just want someone that's going to be level-headed and can work through and doesn't freak out when there's a problem, because there's always going to be a problem, you know. And Trudy and Brett, you couldn't get more reasonable people that were willing to work through the issues, and we got a great result. So win-win.
Thank you for watching that episode of Unemployable. It was an absolute pleasure having you along for the ride. If you'd like to watch another episode, simply click here, but make sure before you go, subscribe to the channel.